Welcome to this explainer. So today we're tackling something you probably dealt with just this morning, right? Daily burnout. But we're connecting it to a massive, literally cosmic shift in human history. The source material we're looking at today presents a super unique worldview. It actually blends our everyday personal psychology with this incredibly grand vision for humanity's future. It's just a wildly compelling lens for looking at our modern struggles.
I mean, why does responsibility so often feel like this overwhelming burden? It's a question we've all asked ourselves when we're just completely exhausted. Well, the source material we're analyzing today offers a pretty unexpected explanation for why we're feeling so weighed down.
Okay, let's dive into how we're going to break this down today. First, we'll look at the burden of responsibility. Then, we'll explore the 2012 paradigm shift, followed by the Hongik-ingan philosophy. After that, making sense of chaos. And finally, we'll wrap up with a vision for global peace. All right, Section 1, the burden of responsibility. Historically, during what the speaker calls the growth era, our focus was pretty much entirely on our immediate relationships. We had these very specific, localized duties, things like caring for a spouse so they could grow, raising our kids, being a loyal friend, helping our workplace succeed. And for a really long time, these were considered the natural, absolute correct responsibilities that were assigned to us to foster basic human development. But here's where the friction comes in. According to the source, what started out as a healthy duty has actually morphed into a harmful obsession. We try so hard to fulfill these traditional roles that we end up getting entirely consumed by them. The speaker argues that obsessing over these hyper-personal obligations today is exactly what generates the stress, the burnout, and the suffering we feel in our daily lives. Moving on to Section 2, the 2012 paradigm shift. So, the source asserts that the old growth era, that time when personal, family, and workplace responsibilities were the absolute rule of law, well, it actually had a definitive expiration date. And it's a date you might actually remember, December 21st, 2012. According to the speaker, after that specific day, the old laws simply expired. Done. And from 2013 onward, we officially entered what they call the post-heaven era, which requires a total, fundamental shift in our societal focus. So the crucial point here is this transition. We have to move away from that old focus, the one centered entirely on family, friends, and our immediate jobs, and we have to turn our attention outward, towards our society, our nation, and ultimately the whole world. It's this massive shift from obsessing over my responsibility to fully embracing our responsibility. Which brings us to Section 3, the Hongik-ingan philosophy. First up is the concept of Chun-son, which literally translates to descendants of heaven. Now, in this framework, these aren't just, special people. They are individuals who recognize this deep, inherent duty to serve all of humanity. It's a huge mandate. Basically, if you accept this identity, you are accepting a duty to live for the world, dedicating yourself entirely to mankind.
And the guiding principle for these individuals is Hongik-ingan. These are leaders born with a historic mission to live for the benefit of humanity. They're tasked with achieving inner independence and actively contributing to global prosperity. It's actually a really empowering idea, right? That your specific talents weren't just given to you to pay the bills or make a living. They were given to you so you can be a purpose-driven leader who actively elevates society.
But you might be wondering, how do you actually do that? Well, the speaker insists on a very systematic progression here. First, you start by engaging in social business for your immediate community. Next, you expand those efforts to serve the entire nation. And finally, you scale that up to global humanity. The source is absolutely clear on this. It's not about expanding a business for personal wealth or greed. No, it's about weaponizing your enterprise for social good at larger and larger scales. So why is this all so urgent? It really comes down to the number 70. The speaker claims that humanity's collective development has essentially stalled out at 70%, and that is exactly why true, lasting joy eludes us. Unlocking that final 30% to reach a truly joyful existence, well, that's only possible when we fully embrace this new, global responsibility. We literally just can't reach 100% joy while clinging to our old, isolated ways. All right, Section 4, making sense of chaos. To explain all of our current societal unrest, the speaker uses a really vivid and honestly pretty surprising metaphor. Just listen to this. Today's confusion in South Korea is a process of filtering out all the wrong things through a sieve. Even if wrong things like cockroaches are left on the sieve, it's all part of cleaning up. It's a wild image, I know, but it brilliantly frames today's chaos not as something to fear, but as a divinely guided, necessary shaking of the sieve, so to speak, to prepare a clear path for these new leaders. But I have to point out there is a stark warning attached to this era of cleanup. If you stubbornly cling to those old, selfish ways in this post-heaven era, the consequence is severe. The speaker warns that nature's law will actively withdraw your energy, basically leaving your life feeling completely meaningless. The universe will literally stop supporting you. So adapting to this new responsibility, it really isn't presented as optional.
And that leads us into Section 5, a vision for global peace. Now, zooming out a bit, according to the source, South Korea's entire 5,000-year history has been one long, deliberate preparation period. And the ultimate goal of all of this? To initiate the Hongik business of global peace. The idea here is that the world-class technology and wealth flowing into South Korea aren't for mere comfort or hoarding. They are cosmic tools provided specifically by the universe to unite and pacify the globe. Now, the speaker makes some highly specific and definitely bold geopolitical assertions here. The framework suggests that South Korea must actively help other nations find their proper paths, with a major focus on China. The source states that the Chinese Communist Party has actually fulfilled a historical role of waking the country up. But now, the new objective is the liberation of the Chinese people from oppression, and this is a massive transition that South Korea is apparently destined to manage and support. To explain exactly why this specific regional focus is so absolutely vital, the speaker uses a tree metaphor. It goes like this. The Central Plains, meaning China and that surrounding region, act as the trunk of a tree, while the rest of the world represents the branches. The logic is simple but profound. Stabilizing and freeing the trunk is vital for the health of the entire global tree. Because without regional stability, the whole global ecosystem just suffers. Wow, okay. We've explored some truly massive cosmic concepts today. I mean, everything from the expiration of old laws in 2012 to grand geopolitical destinies. But let's bring it all back down to your daily life for a second. If the era of focusing purely on personal growth really has ended, how will you redefine your own responsibilities in this changing world? Whether you view all of this as literal cosmic truth or maybe just a profound metaphor for societal maturity, it definitely challenges us to look beyond ourselves. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.